'cause this is it. The beat that I'm playing is delicious.
Welcome back to the Pro Football Pod. We are bringing you the quarterback and wide receiver preview. Jason Sanders sucks ass. I hate him. Moving on,
Must have been a missed field goal.
we have
I
some.
picked them up in fantasy.
I would never do that. I've got some good matchups. I actually saw you pick him up and laughed because you're playing me, and I was like, "Oh, that was a bad mistake. He's gonna miss at least one.
He was the best available kicker. I mean,
He's never the best
offense.
available. Nope, not with Jason Sanders. Now Brock Purdy, traveling to Arizona this week.
Not very far.
Not very far. Divisional matchup for them.
Correct.
Yes.
So should be a great matchup. I think that the 49ers obviously win this. But I think that Kyler Murray and Brock Purdy are both going to be able to have some relevance. I think that Kyler should be able to, execute a little bit against that weak secondary for the 49ers. And he's too quick to get sacked. So should be good all around, right?
That is a good point, though. Like, he should have, extended amount of time back there to make plays happen where most quarterbacks can against the San Francisco team. So it should be electric. It should be.
Yeah, you're looking for rushing yards from him in this game, possibly a rushing touchdown. I mean, like, you're not expecting too much in the passing game because he also doesn't have, a buku of weapons. But
he will next year.
But it's like you don't really know who he's throwing the ball to, so it's hard for San Fran to target people, It's easy whenever you know the script and know who to shut down. Who's that top guy? But
I feel you.
Whenever you don't, it's difficult for defenses.
Trey McBride's going to be coming back. If they
That's pretty much their top guy.
If they also had Michael Wilson, I would like a little bit more what their wide receiving core could have with Rondale Moore, taking the top off Marquise Brown and Michael Wilson being able to eat, and then Trey McBride kind of hitting that seam. That's a good, set of weapons. And then on top of that, James Conner isn't a slouch at running back. They've got a decent offensive line. Like, that's a competitive football team.
San Fran should be able to put up 70. Just because of how loose that defense is for the Cardinals.
Yeah. San Fran's likely going to spend a lot of time running the ball. I think Brock Purdy still has a great game because of the play action and the way that they've been using Ayuk and Debo. Debo only needs 3 catches to get 2 touchdowns that he just runs through the whole team for. So,
man, it was watching it though. I saw Brock Purdy load up and try to bomb one deep to Ayuk, and Ayuk had to slow up for it. And it was just like, we talk about how he doesn't have a rocket arm, and it just sucks. He just can't put it out there. Like, you see some quarterbacks sling it, like it leaves the camera, But you always see Brock Purdy.
Looks like a punt.
Yeah.
Hey, he hit a couple beautiful deep passes. So, like, he's got the ability to do it. Like I've said, and I'll say it probably till I die. Brock Purdy is the right-handed Tua. Like, the way they throw the ball, the way the ball looks coming out of their hands, it's very similar. He's accurate with it, but no, he's not being able to just throw it through a brick wall. But, I mean, to this point, what he's doing this season, it gives you nothing but pure confidence going into this game versus the Cardinals, because the Cardinals' defense is trash.
I remember back whenever Joe Flacco being able to throw the ball halfway across the football field to some of these receivers that he had was deemed as such an important thing. And whenever these quarterbacks were coming in and they couldn't chuck the ball a quarter mile, they were given a bunch of bad grades. And I think that is starting to go away. The football field has shrunk a lot over the last couple years. And being able to go deep doesn't have the same effect that it used to. Cornerbacks are able to cover it. Everyone's faster. I think that the anticipation, the type of game that Tua has, if you can't move and get out with your legs and extend the play to where a broken play turns into the receivers just running around and being able to get them open, then I think you need to have that type of timing and anticipation in the current NFL.
Yep, I agree. So, I mean, That game's going to be electric for the quarterbacks there. Another one I think is going to be pretty solid as well for two different kind of sides of the coin. Jordan Love versus the terrible pass defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and potentially Baker Mayfield in what you expect to be a game to where he's going to have to throw to keep up.
It should be a shootout. I mean, Green Bay's been a bunch of shootouts all year.
Is
I
it
mean-
still a shootout with the Giants? You think?
The Giants
having a
game,
shootout.
they're the 7-7 with the Giants. I mean,
In the first?
basically first quarter and a half. I mean, yeah, it's not like the Packers are pulling away from games. That game on Thanksgiving versus the Lions was a complete anomaly as far as like their point differential.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I like the Packers in the game, obviously, and I like Jordan Love more than I like Baker. But we've been talking Baker up all season as a guy to add off the waiver wires, and every single week he's still somebody that's out there on the waiver for you.
He's had value even though you don't expect it, and you still next week you're not going to expect it, and he's going to be above average at quarterback in fantasy. You don't need the best. The best will help you win a championship sometimes, but if the rest of your roster is solid and you can get an average quarterback or slightly above, that's all it takes.
His playmakers are out there making plays. Rashad White's doing his thing.
Rashad White has been saving that team a lot. A lot.
And you know what? Chris Godwin came through this past weekend.
Yes, he did.
He was doing some good things.
He did.
Mike Evans was able to get shut down. He didn't get much done, but they didn't need him for the victory to happen. Him getting shut down didn't matter. It sucks for fantasy, but that is what it is with game plan sometimes. Now, talking about a guy that it doesn't seem to matter what the game plan is, I didn't expect Michael Pittman to be an absolute target machine like he has been this year. I think he's a top 3 targeted wide receiver. The only ones that are more than him are like Keenan Allen.
And Tyreek.
That's
Like,
crazy.
Michael Pittman is getting 8 receptions a week. It's insane. Like, I believe his line this week was 7.5, and he still broke his line. He still went over his line of 7.5. Like, it's insane, and that's what you like. Perfect example. Target monster.
Yep.
Like, he's just getting targeted an insane amount of times. It doesn't matter if it's in the screen game, if it's down the field, if it's in the intermediate routes. They're treating him like a true number 1 wide receiver.
And as much as Marquise Brown was getting those targets the last couple weeks and just not getting the catches, like we said, Michael Pittman he's getting 8 a game that he's bringing in. We expected Josh Downs about a month and a half ago. We all said that he was going to be the next, big wide receiver, the next big rookie after Tank Dell to kind of take off. And then he got a little bit banged up. And the whole time, Mr. Consistent has been staying consistent with Michael Pittman. I don't expect to see anything different. I love him moving forward. I don't think that there's a matchup that I don't play him because he's going to get the work.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
you have
acting
to
like
play
a
him.
top 5 receiver on the year.
Yeah,
he's got
you gotta
the
play him every
skill and ability to be one.
And besides
he's
Alec
doing solid.
Pierce and Josh Downs, there are nobody else to catch the ball there. And he's better than both of them at this point.
Both guys, though.
Yeah.
They're
Now,
dudes.
I think on the opposite point, talking about a rookie receiver that is surrounded by a bunch of high-end talent around him with JSN. He's got Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf always there. And he's been looking good. He's been better and better every week, but I'm afraid to play him. I have him on a roster or two, and putting him in my lineup, I just don't have the confidence. I would almost rather play a Romeo Doubs or a Christian Watson because of the prolonged success I've seen them have. He just hasn't done enough for me to be excited about him. I think it's a game or two away. If he has one 20-point game, I mean, he's a forever starter. But until I see something like that, I'm not convinced yet.
See,
Yeah,
I
think
like
it's Gino's
JSN
problem.
specifically for the matchup. With it being a matchup versus Philly, Philly's obviously the better team. Seahawks are going to have to throw to stay in that game. And because of that, obviously focus is going to be on DK and Lockett. The
Absolutely.
two vets, the two guys with the top ability there. So that's where I see a game kind of like it was versus Dallas for the Seahawks, to where JSN is going to become viable simply because Gino's going to throw the ball. Gino or Drew Lock is going to throw the ball 45 times in the game.
And he has to, just because of where they drafted him, like what he means for that team,
Oh,
like
he
for
was my
ticket
favorite wide
sales,
receiver coming
for
out. He's still as
the
for
crowd.
everything all
Like,
these rookies have done this year. Tank Dell, Jordan Addison, as great as these Zay Flowers, as great as these guys have looked, I'd still take JSN above him. I think he's one to where he's just on a great team or a good team with great wide receivers ahead of him. Versus if he did have the benefit of being in Baltimore, he would easily be the number one wide receiver there, and that's not a
Also,
doubt in my mind at all.
injured for the first 6 weeks. I mean, he had 6 weeks
That
before he
too.
even got his cast off. That sucks.
That too. So I mean, yeah, he just had a bunch going against him.
Now,
And if you're looking for a streamer guy this week, Jalen Reed for the
Jalen.
Packers.
Jaden
He's
Reed.
been getting solid target share all season, and with Christian Watson being out, that's just giving you more and more, potential with the ball in his hands. He's getting the ball out of the backfield. They're handing the ball off to him. He's getting a few carries every game.
Another rushing
so
touchdown
because
this
of that-
past week.
Because of that, opportunity. So, I mean, like I said, this is their streamer category. This is a guy you're desperate. You're trying to pick somebody up, play him in your flex. He's the one that you want to try to pick up and feel somewhat decent about.
I
Gazoon tight.
You felt decent about him all year long. Man's been eating.
Another rookie. It's kind of crazy how the young receivers have started to take over with the whole NIL thing going on in college, and now they're starting to get paid. Running backs aren't going into the draft because they're able to make $3 to $5 million a year to stay in college. I think that we're seeing a big change in the receivers that are coming out are top level. I mean, every one of them. Quentin Johnston, I think, is the only one that's actually been a disappointment this year as far as like rookie receiver.
Yeah, 100%. The drops are egregious. Too many drops in too many big spots.
Yeah. Now, he did have a good week this past week, finally. He had a big play, which was big for them. But, you got to see more. Got to keep doing it. Can't let the ball hit your hand. Well, that's another one in the books. Make sure to go to Tulsi Rose Tea at tulsirosetea.com for all of your tea needs, over 100 different types. We're going to be bringing you guys the running back, tight end preview later in the week.
Stay tuned.
Until next time.
Toodaloo, buckaroos.
Oopsies. That boy to a school in that.